we're back for another episode with two crones and a mic. Two crones here. And today we're actually going to talk about crone stuff. So, this is for the women out there. You will be able to relate, I'm sure. Um, this is just a random topic we picked after our trip because a few things happened and we figured out, why don't we just talk about it? I'm sure a lot of people can relate. So,
Yeah.
do you want to start with a short meditation or do you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do a real quick, just if you are driving or if it's unsafe for you to do so, just continue doing what you're doing. We know that you're joining us in heart and mind. If you are able to, just take that moment to close down your eyes, take a nice deep inhale, and exhale. And in this moment, we express gratitude for the experience of aging, however much it sucks. We express gratitude to it or for it because we know that there are many, many people who do not get to experience the beauty and wonderment of getting older in this world. And so we rest in that gratitude and we can still embrace the suck, as my friend Kelly says. Can embrace the suck as we are grateful for the experience. We live in a both and world, inhaling and exhaling, staying fully present, fully grounded, fully centered. As we move into our episode on why aging sucks. And so it
The
is.
end.
The end. So I get here today. And
What?
I get here today, I get
Yeah.
here to record this because I'm still at Bettina's house a couple more
Mm-hmm.
months and then I'll be in my own place. And it's obvious to me something's really off with you, like, and I keep like, are you sure you're okay? Something's off. And you're like, okay, I'm going to tell you, like, I just don't think I can do long car rides like that. Like I was so stiff. It took my body like a whole week to
Mm-hmm.
recover. And I still have this pain. And you started to describe the pain. I'm like, girl, that's sciatica.
And I'm like, no, I don't want it. Take it away because I do not want it. I do not accept this.
And you're like, but my back doesn't hurt. I'm like, your back doesn't have to hurt to have sciatica.
So yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, God, this is so bad. And I'm like, well, where does it stop and start? And she's like, oh, it's just right here, like on the back of my thigh and my butt and my thigh. And I was
Mm.
like, oh, and you're like, it can get worse. I'm like, oh yeah, it can shoot all the way down to your through out of your heel. And she's like, oh, I'm like, that was my sciatica. My sciatica is all the way down the leg, shooting out of my heel.
I don't even want to
It's
hear it. I want to
and
cry.
back hurting, like, and, limping along like a bog witch, yeah, totally, totally.
The bad thing about aging is it's like there is no warning, okay? You wake up in the morning and boom, there it is, okay? I walk into the bathroom in the morning. I'm like, okay, I look in the mirror and I'm thinking, I don't know who the hell you are, but I'm going to brush your teeth anyway. I mean, that was optical, but now we're having this physical stuff too. It's like, how much worse can it get? Maybe I shouldn't even say that because
Yeah,
spirit's like,
let's
I'll
not go
show
physical.
you how much
Yeah,
worse it can get,
that
okay?
invites way more thing I didn't say it, Spirit, this was all Bettina. I
Yeah.
mean, I'll sit by and watch it like she did with me and the rain, but,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
no, I am there with you. So, the first thing that I noted, and I still have it, 6 years ago, I posted on Facebook, and every year it comes around that I have, like, this little laugh line, like, right here. People were
Mm-hmm.
like,
On your lip.
"Oh, poor thing. Ha, ha, ha." Now it's all around. There's only one, like, I hate straws, but my water bottle has a straw in it
Mm-hmm.
because get the water out,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But straws are so bad for, like, those mouth lines. And then I don't know what the heck is going on here. It's like my skin is completely changing, and it looks like rough and looks like an old person's skin. And I'm like, what is happening to my face? Again, like you, it's optics, right? But we can talk about the other stuff. We can talk about how many women that are listening right now either squeeze their legs together so tight that it takes a crowbar to pry them apart when you are getting ready to cough or sneeze
Or
or
sneeze.
laugh, right? Any of that. Like, seriously, what in the world? I mean, we get this, we have the smallest urethra. Men have the longer urethra. They don't have that experience. But do
Hmm.
we really have to pee our pants every time we take a breath?
It's
Good God,
bad.
it's so bad. Oh my God, aging is ridiculous. I just went and did before I came here. I was asked to do a scattering of the ashes for this beautiful family they lost their mother a little early, and they
Hmm.
wanted her ashes scattered at this rose garden, and so I agreed to do it. It was 85 degrees outside, which, yeah, okay, it's a little warm. My face was melting off, and I'm like, for the love of all that is holy, stand, breathe. Like, I'm like looking to the heavens, like, somebody do a breeze on me. Can I just have somebody blow on me? Something, anything?
Hmm.
They sent rain, by the way.
Again.
Again,
Again. Hmm.
it was so hot. I'm like, and they're like, "Oh, are you okay? You sure are sweating a lot." Yeah, it's the menopause and the fact that we're doing this in June in the Midwest
Yes,
under
it's ugly.
the sun next to a rose garden.
Hmm. It's funny. You know what I just remembered? Last week when we went to that concert in the parking lot, we drove in and we were looking for a spot and there were all kinds of old
I know what you're
old
talking
people
about.
sitting around and I'm like, Indira, I can't be seen with these old people. And you're like, girl, you're one of them. And I'm like, no, I'm not, but apparently I am. These are my people.
I'm like, here's the thing, Bettina. They're no older than us. They're the same age.
Oh
It was
Jesus.
so funny. She did too. She's like, I cannot be seen. These are old people here. I'm like,
That's
did
because you always think that everybody else ages, but you don't look at yourself like that. You know,
exactly.
you look at people that you went to school with, and they're like, "Oh my God, do I look like this?"
Okay, I do
So
that.
it's like you always see that about other people, but you don't see
Yeah.
it about yourself. You know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But
Well,
yeah.
then I was talking to Eric on the phone while we were at the concert. He called me and he was like, "So what's the crowd there like?" And I literally said, "Well, I don't see anyone going around on scooters, so we're doing pretty well," because I had gone to Aerosmith. Of course, Aerosmith started, and this, by the way, I went to see Aerosmith. This would have been like 2006, 2008. I saw Aerosmith with Motley Crue, and it was either Poison or Cinderella. I can't remember. And there were people on scooters, like motors, like old people on motor scooters at the concert. And I remember thinking, what is happening? Like, we are at a fairly decent metal concert and there are people on scooters. And I got to thinking, okay, Aerosmith's been around since the 60s. But now when I go to a concert, that's my gauge. How many people are going around on scooters?
I never thought of that. I never because again, I don't see myself as aging, but I guess
Well, it was a
I
walk
just
too,
block
right?
it out, I guess.
Yeah,
It's like,
right? So, and we walked a lot. We got 10,000 steps in, and
mm-hmm,
we drove 7 miles or 7 hours
mm-hmm,
in
mm-hmm,
like, from, like, 9 in the morning to, like, 3 the next morning. We drove
mm-hmm.
over 7 hours,
Yeah.
and we got 10,000 steps in.
Mm-hmm.
And the steps and the inclines at Hollywood Casino are not they're not trifling. Like, they're serious about those
Mm-hmm.
steps and
Mm-hmm.
those, like, inclines. So you gotta be pretty spry, pretty in pretty good shape to do that.
Yeah.
But still, if I am looking around at a concert and somebody's like, "What's the crowd like there?" I am looking for the old people on the scooters. It's sad. It's terrifying. Oh my
Never
gosh.
thought of it that way.
So we were talking about the whole reason this
Yeah.
came
What
up
I
too is
noticed
because we
too
were talking
is
about
what?
yeah, go ahead. Mhm. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, no, go ahead.
So this happens to us every time. For whatever reason, we lose that.
Yeah. We
We
got a little bit
we,
of a delay here.
so the reason this came up was because you and I both watched the video of Oprah interviewing Cher and Tina Turner. And she's like, "So what do you think of aging?" And Cher's like, "It sucks." Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
the funniest thing. And we were like, "It does." Like, it does. Like, yes, I get that we get the wisdom and we get to declare peace and all of our give a shits break. Like, I totally get that. But they do not prepare you for the
Mm-mm.
amount of breakdown in the body.
That's correct. And you don't see that because those two women, they look fantastic. I mean, Tina Turner is no longer with us, by the way. I mean, obviously, but they look fantastic. And a
Well,
lot
Cher
of
looks
people
fantastic
look,
'cause she paid to look that fantastic.
yeah, that's true too.
Mhm.
So we may not look as good as her, but we'll look good. Try,
Yeah.
you know,
We're working
I
on
think
it. We're
so.
still doing it. Yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't, I mean, but what's going on with your body on the inside, nobody sees that, you know? And so that's the scary part. Even my brain, I feel like sometimes I can't think of a word or I can't think of something you can tell there's a difference.
Mhm,
You can tell things are changing. So it's really important for me, I believe, that I keep myself engaged
mhm,
and reading and all those things.
mhm.
And so because you notice a difference when you get to a certain age.
You do. The brain fog is real.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't think of it earlier. It took me 30 seconds to think of the word bluegrass when I was talking about,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah, um, the brain. That's why curse words are really important, because they fill the space while you're trying to remember what you're trying to say. Um,
So I guess if you come across somebody who curses a lot, it's because they can't remember what they were going to say. It makes sense. Yeah, okay. Well, that
yeah.
clears up a lot of mysteries here.
Exactly. But you're right. Nobody really prepared us for menopause. Mostly, and I like to think it's because our parents didn't talk to us anyway. We're Gen Xers.
No,
They,
we were just
you know,
like we raised ourselves.
yeah, exactly. So little feral here, and we're being really honest about it. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember, um, I think it was at the concert that we saw some young, cute, you know, young things. I think it was at the concert, and I remember looking at you going, I'll give him this. I'll give him this because in
Mm-hmm.
about 30 years, they're going to be where we're standing. And they're going to be like, look at those little, blah, blah, blah," like,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
we're going to give them this because
Yeah.
they have no idea what's in store for them. None whatsoever. They have no idea that they're going to be wearing panty liners until the day they die because they piddle in their panties.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they get those, the ones that, the period panties, which they actually have those for urine. And I have thought about getting some. Um, and they have no idea that they will try to stand up from the floor, what they once could do very easily, and now have to do like the crab crawl, like the forward crawl or whatever, just to get their knees off the floor, then to back up to their feet and then come to a rising position because they no longer have muscle in their legs, like all because they've sat forever because we all, sit forever now.
Mm-hmm.
They have no idea that just that their nipples are going to be hanging out with their belly button. They're all going to be best friends.
I don't have enough for that to happen, so maybe that's a good thing.
Well,
But in
I
all
got plenty.
honesty, yeah, in all honesty, ladies or whoever wants to listen to this, don't wait, okay? Don't get to the point where you can't reverse things. Just, I mean, I know we talk about people always say, "Oh, exercise and all that," but it's really true. You don't have to do strenuous exercise every single day, but just keep your body
Moving.
healthy and keep your body alive and going. Don't
Take the
ever,
stairs.
yeah, take the stairs
Park a little
and
further away from the door.
exactly all the
Yeah.
way in the corner of the parking spot and then walk to the store. Just do whatever you can. Don't let it get too bad because it's not fun. It's not fun.
It's not fun. It's not.
Yeah.
We were talking, so I had watched this woman, it was on Instagram or something, and there was a woman who was going over, like, the 10 really the rarest things that happen for women who are going through menopause. Never mind the hot flashes. We all know the hot
Mhm,
flashes. We all
mhm,
know the night
yes.
sweats. Bless their little heart. My sweet hairstylist, um, we were talking yesterday, and she was like, "I'm not sleeping very well." I'm like, "Oh, what's going on?" She's like, "I've started the night sweats." And I was like, "Oh, okay." She's like, "They're awful. Do you have anything that you do?" I'm like, "Bamboo. Bamboo sheets, bamboo jammies. They help a lot. They're
That's
not gonna end
because
it
of
all."
what? Mhm.
It's something in the bamboo, and let me tell you, it's also really hard to care for. Something in the and they're actually soft. They're super soft, but you have to they're super difficult to care for. You cannot dry them completely. Like if you dry your sheets
Hmm,
completely, it kind of loses its ability to cool you off.
interesting.
So hang dry it all. Just
Mhm.
don't put it in the dryer. Just hang dry it all.
Wow.
They're expensive. My jammies cost more than my sheets did. My jammies were like $100. My sheets were
Mhm,
like 50. Um, but oh my gosh, so worth it. I'm getting ready to try because my hot flashes and my night sweats are terrible. I'm getting ready to try like the wild yam cream that you can
mhm,
put on like your wrist to help with that kind of stuff. But when I very first they did my total hysterectomy. How long has it been now? About 6 years, 6, 7 years. And no, it's been 8 years. And I was so estrogen dominant that it took 2 months for the estrogen to get out of my body. But the moment I had the first hot flash, I knew that my life was about to change forever
mm,
and not in a good way.
mhm,
My hot flashes came every 90 seconds,
mm-mm.
literally sweat profusely to the point I'm taking everything off. Like all my clothes are coming off. They last for 90 seconds. And then I would be freezing for 90 seconds and then it would hit again. And this lasted for 6 months.
Wow.
It was a nightmare. Couldn't sleep at night. So my sweet little hairstylist this weekend, I'm like, just get yourself some bamboo, start there.
Mhm.
Because it's starting, my dear. Like
Yeah.
that's a nice natural thing. Your husband will be cool at night too, because men tend to sleep a little warm. Yeah, it tends to start there. And then so I'm watching this woman who's talking about like the rare ones, right? And I told you this in the car on the way to St. Louis, and it was so hard to tell you because it's embarrassing,
Yeah, but
but it's real.
we need to make it normal to talk about stuff.
We do. We do.
We need to.
Um, One of them is really weird fears. That is a symptom of menopause, is having an
That's
all of a
wild.
sudden really weird fear. And it only started like just a few days before I saw this video. All of a sudden, I have this weird fear that a hand is going to come out from under my bed and grab my foot only when I'm getting ready to get into bed. No other time. I stand next to my bed very often. I work next to my bed. I do all kinds of stuff right next to my bed. It's right there. And never, ever, ever am I concerned about anything coming out from under my bed until the moment that I'm about to go to sleep. And then now I find myself acting like a 5-year-old, looking for the monsters under my bed. There's nothing there. And I'm still jumping into my bed like it's like a small child. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. And I can't get my brain to stop focusing on it. Like it's still there.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I'm still like, I've got that fight or that flight. And I'm like trying to jump up into bed. And oh my, I'm gonna throw my back out doing this one of these days. Like I really do jump into it like a small child, and I am not a small child.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so wild. I mean, I've never heard of that before, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, obviously. It's
Right.
just that I think there's so many things that can happen, during that time, and it's just very unique to everybody.
It is.
Not yeah,
Yeah.
and I feel like I don't want to I don't want to talk bad about doctors, okay? But
Mhm.
during my lifetime, especially my gynecologist, every time I had an issue, it's like, okay, let's just operate. Let's do surgery, let's operate. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing this and we're not doing that. It's there are no other options that people give you for things. They don't I mean, I feel like they don't take you seriously. It's like
And
let's just take it all out and be done with it. I'm like,
see,
no,
that's
we're
what's
not
really
doing
interesting.
that.
I had stage 4 endometriosis. I had such bad ovarian cysts that mine were like one of my ovaries was double the size. I had what's called pedunculated, which I thought was a made up word. I thought Big Bird made it up.
Mm-hmm.
Pedunculated cysts, which means basically cysts were growing on the outside of my uterus. My stage 4 endometriosis was so bad that it actually crushed my left ovary and
Mm.
it became necrotic. Yeah, I lived through
Oh
that.
my
That was Easter
God.
Sunday one year. And I had no idea. I just knew that I was having really bad cramps. And so, but I was begging them to take my stuff out because
Really?
it was so diseased from what had happened to me as a child. And so it was so diseased from all of that trauma. And I was begging them to take it out, and they wouldn't take it out until they got permission from my husband.
No
Yes.
way.
He
No.
actually had to sign a document. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And so it's so frustrating to me that one person is absolutely diseased, needs their stuff to come out because I was having cramps all the way down to my knees. And this started when I was in junior high. I was 12, seventh grade.
Mm-hmm.
And and I would miss a day of school every month because my period was so bad, my cramps were so bad that I was having pain down my knees, all the way down to my knees, that I was on extreme painkillers
Mm-mm.
just to be able to get through the first day of my period.
Oh my God.
Diagnosed with stage 2 endometriosis at the age of 13. And nobody ever really treated it. Nobody ever did. They wrote a study about me. I was the youngest one in the state at the time. And it was awful. And
Wow.
I am begging for it to go away. I am begging them to take it. There was no way I had 13 miscarriages. There was no way I could have children. And I couldn't get anybody to take anything to save my life. They want to take it all the time.
Oh, I mean, it's like whatever I say, it's like, okay, let's do surgery. And I'm like, no, especially with my uterus. I mean, I had other surgeries, where I can't even, it's called menstrual ablation. I think that's
Yes.
when they
Mhm.
take out the lining, so your periods are gone because
Yes.
I had really bad clots coming out. I mean, it wasn't fun.
Mhm.
So that's what they did, and that's what I agreed to. But he's like, well, while we're in there, why don't we just tie your tubes? And I'm like, why would you do that? I didn't
Yeah.
ask you to do that. And they're like, and then he's like, well, or we can just take it all out. I'm like, no, it still works. It works fine. Okay, just
Yeah.
leave it there. So I feel like, and then I get this conspiracy thought. It's
Mm.
like, I had really good insurance. So I'm wondering if, they want to do surgery if they feel like they can milk the insurance for money,
It's
or
possible.
something like that. It's like, I didn't ask you to do any of that. I
Yeah.
just don't touch me. Don't just do what I ask you to do, you
And
know?
mine was like, "Well, I really wanna try to leave your ovary." And I was like, "I don't think you're gonna be able to leave the ovary." And then she got in there, and not only could she not leave the ovary, but she had to call an oncology specialist in to remove all of the endometrium that had grown all over, like, my bladder, my kidneys, my stomach,
Mm-mm.
my colon, like my large and small intestines that had grown all over that. They had to call in it. What should have been an hour and a half surgery was 8.5 hours.
Oh,
And
jeez.
when I came out of it, she said, "You were right. There wasn't you like I've never known anybody know their body as well as you did." And I said, "Well, all I can say is thank you for listening finally." At the age of like 44, 46, something like that, I
Mm-hmm.
finally was able to get some relief. And I got to tell you, I haven't missed a bit of it, but I do not love the menopause. I don't love
Mm-hmm.
what it shoved me
Mm-hmm.
into. But grateful that she finally listened and got all of that out because I was diseased. Like I had so much disease in there. And yeah, so it's interesting to me. And I didn't have great insurance at the time. I had okay
Hmm.
insurance. It wasn't great, but I'm just grateful that somebody finally listened. And I just think it's weird that there's no you just don't it's a crapshoot with your doctors. And I had a
It
really
is.
great doctor. I mean, she was really great. She's actually the number one transgender um, gender reassignment doctor, like in the
Mm-hmm.
Midwest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's not what I went in for.
Right.
but that, she was
But she
very,
knows her
very good.
stuff as far as like
Yeah.
this area goes. Yes.
Yeah. And I don't know that anybody else would have called it an oncology specialist in. So I just find it interesting. Our doctors' experiences are so different.
Hmm.
Yours kept wanting to get rid of stuff. Mine wouldn't even pay attention until I finally got the specialist. Like, yeah, they wouldn't even pay attention to it.
But that goes to show that you always have to do your own research and you really have to
Yes.
advocate for yourself. And
Yes.
if or when you go in for surgery, you have to have somebody with you that advocates for you when
Yes.
you can't. So please always know that. Make this a habit, okay?
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's very important to do that.
Yeah. And every woman is different. I just,
Yeah.
when I was up, doing the scattering the ashes, one of the workers that was there, she was like, "Are you okay?" Because I was sitting under a tree and I was like fanning myself, and I'm like, "This menopause is kicking my butt today. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
having major hot flashes." And she said that when she went into the menopause, the doctors want to put her on meds, and she was like, "No, I don't want any meds. I'm just going to do it this. I'm going to do it natural."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "That's great for you. That is awesome for you." I did meds because mine were so severe. I did the troches, where it's compounded materials. They're specially done, very expensive. I
Mm-hmm.
did those for a while. I did the implants for a while, and my hot flashes aren't anything what they once were. And
Mm-hmm.
they get triggered by sugar, they get triggered by meat, they get triggered by emotion. Sometimes they get triggered by carbs. You just don't know. Like
It's yeah. It's
it's
funny you
crap,
say
dude.
that. It's funny you say that because I feel like you may I mean I'm not a doctor, okay? And I can only tell you what I experienced for myself. Menopause hasn't I mean I have some things that obviously happen to your body, but
Mhm,
it's not as severe as it could be, I think, and I really appreciate that. But I do believe that maybe my lifestyle has something to do with it. Okay, so
mhm,
I am vegan. I don't eat anything that's first of all no meat or animal products, but also I go organic.
mhm.
I make sure that there's no chemicals and things like that. So I personally believe it helps me.
Yeah,
I really do.
yeah.
Okay, so yeah,
Yeah, and everyone has to make that decision for themselves.
exactly. Mm-hmm.
Because I can't go vegan. I have way too many food sensitivities to too many other things, and, when I was vegan, it made me very, very sick because I tried it for 7 years, and I was very, very sick, and, so everybody has we all have different bodies, and we all have to just honor that. So, yeah, I agree. I think it is your lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that it's your trauma, because I had a lot more trauma in my body, which means that I was super estrogen dominant. I think it is genetics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everybody has to
Yes,
make
of
that
course.
decision for
Yes.
themselves,
Yes.
like everybody has to make that decision for themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, we don't get to, and not saying that any of us have done that, but we don't get to make a decision for another woman saying, "Oh, this is what you need to do
Exactly.
this way."
Yes. Yes.
Like,
Yes.
this is what worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
You can try it. But my stuff, the interesting thing about my body is it will, um, it'll start to become resistant to whatever treatment I go through, and it'll
Really?
push through harder. So, yeah, it'll push through much, much harder. So the troches stopped working, which is why I went to the injections, and then the injections stopped working. So
Mm-hmm.
then I went to something else because my body will push through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hopefully, the changes I'm making in the rest of my life will stop
Yeah.
it from pushing through, and we can just settle it.
Yeah. I don't have it as much as like with the menopause, but I do see what you're saying because I have it with the diabetes that I have. So I have issues, people. Okay. So it's not like I mean, your lifestyle can help you with a lot, but like Indira said, it has to do with genetics as well. And unfortunately, in my family, it's just diabetes, and I have it. Okay. And I don't eat really bad. There's no way I could avoid it.
Mhm,
So I do have this insulin resistance. So no matter what my doctor gives me as far as medication to bring that A1C down,
mhm.
it's just like my body's like, screw it.
Yeah.
Not
Everybody
working.
is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's different.
So just do what works for you. Try
Mhm.
what you can,
Mhm.
but try it for
Mhm.
a while. Let it
Yeah.
really try to, like it's 6 months to a year sometimes, and unless it's like you're having an adverse reaction. So
Yeah.
yeah, aging sucks. The end.
Yeah.
Um,
Period.
period. Um, yeah, and I'm watching all of these women coming up into the perimenopause right now, like, like my sweet hairstylist or, my one of my work besties, they're all starting to have the night sweats and the hot flashes and the rage. The rage is another one. The
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
that is real.
Mhm.
There is
You get angry about things that probably don't never even happen. But
yes.
it's in your mind. You're like, today I'm going into work and my boss is probably going to say this, this, and that. And it's you get angry about things that don't even they will not even happen. I mean, the likelihood of something that you just made up actually happening is just so small, but
Mhm.
here you are talking yourself into it, you
Exactly.
know? So
Yep.
yeah.
So we just wanted to bring up we recognize that aging sucks.
Hmm.
That's
It
and it
does.
all stems from our trip. So, and here's the thing. So we got back on Sunday, right? I
Hmm.
got home at 3:15. You got home about 4 because that's about the distance
Yeah.
between where we live. And you have been really struggling with your sciatica all week long. Not that you thought even knew that you had sciatica, but now you do.
I didn't even know
And
what that was until today.
and but we both also felt like we had been hit by trucks because we got home, we got some sleep, and we both woke up around 9:30, like really hungry.
Hmm.
And you're like, I feel like I got hit by a truck. I'm like, that's a really good, like we're tough. We're Gen Xers, we're tough. But at the same time, I'm like, I was really tired when we got
Hmm.
home. And so we got up at 9, we both ate a little something, went back to sleep, slept another like 4 or 5 hours, and
Yeah.
then we just went on with our week, but we were both pretty tired, like, pretty tired during the week, and I wouldn't change it for anything because it was a
I
blast.
wouldn't either. I wouldn't either. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sometimes you just have to sacrifice yourself
that's
for
right,
some
and
fun.
and you know what? My sciatica did not kick in, so I was
Oh,
really
well, good for
excited.
you. Okay.
We call that resentment. We just literally talked about
Maybe a
Brené
tiny
Brown.
bit.
We just talked about Brené Brown's resentment, which we'll bring up in another podcast
Hmm.
at some point. But
Hmm.
resentment is in the envy family. It says that,
Yeah.
because I did not have this boundary, this is, I'm resenting you because you're not, you're not suffering like I am. You're not pushing through like I am.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
yeah, and I'm not seven. My sciatica is not acting up today.
Fine.
Yep, I
I'll
know.
give you that.
All right. Well, we wanted to keep today short, just kind of have a little fun with
Hmm.
something that's not very fun, just aging.
Well, we all go through it.
Yeah. If we're
Mm,
lucky enough. If we're lucky
if
enough.
we're lucky enough. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, it beats the alternative. So I think
Mhm.
that's a good thing. And time stops for no one.
And we
So,
get to choose what our aging
hmm.
looks like. We don't get to choose necessarily what we look like in the bit, like, staring back at us in the mirror,
Hmm.
but we get to choose. Am I going to put effort into making sure that my body is
Hmm.
strong enough for me to, be able to get on the floor when I'm 60 years old and get up? Am
Yeah.
I going to choose what kind of food I eat so I have more energy?
Yeah.
So my organs regenerate better. Like, I have those choices.
Yep.
I get to do that. So yeah, we still have choices.
We
Um,
do.
even if we don't get to choose what we look like back in the mirror.
Yeah, unfortunately. But it's all good. I mean, we just be aware of your body and do the best you can for yourself.
And then laugh at the rest of it.
Yeah. It's all
Yeah.
we got to do.
And if you've done the period panties for urine leakage, holla, email
Yes,
us.
we want to
Two
know
Crowns of
about
Wi
that.
Let us know if it works
Test them and let us know.
because I really wanna know. So, all right, guys. Thanks for
We love
joining us
you and you have
today.
a good rest of the week. We'll see you
Yep.
next time. Bye.